and takeoff. Welcome to Matrix Talk.
Happy Monday.
On Monday, July 17, 2023, we're here to talk about embracing change and introduction to acceptance and commitment therapy and training. And on your screen, you will see our APA approved training events. And so we got to take off the one we did last Friday. So don't sign up for that one. But other than that, everything else is on demand. Just take it 24/365.
Yeah, the other five. Yeah.
Right. And we will do it. And you just click the green button below. And that really helps us out and gets you CEs. So
and some other goodies.
Oh, those are another goodies. And heck, Phil, we haven't chatted in yet. We have to chat in. I will say hello from Maine there. And that begins the chat. And if you're with us, few people are, most people will do the recording because this is the world of, what is it, streaming or delayed or what's the
on demand? This is our on-demand world.
I know. We took a brief poll about our courses, and 100% said on demand.
Yeah.
So, and I know I was part of that poll, and I do on demand when it comes to.
I put my hand up for on demand as well.
Oh, so we will keep recording these, and people can show up whenever, and you'll learn. But remember, sign up for CEs, and it helps us pay bills. And follow us somewhere on your screen. You can follow
somewhere
us
there. You can, yes, you can share
because the number keeps going up.
Yeah.
So you find it, we don't see it anymore. So I think that's all of our housekeeping.
I think we've done it.
Okay. So Phil came up with this title, Embracing Change.
I did.
Oh, wow. So we're going to embrace some change, huh?
Yeah. I think that's kind of the plan. I mean, we don't have to.
Well,
we could shake our fists at change. We could do that.
Oh no, I don't think that'll work.
No, I don't think so either.
Anyway, so folks, they probably want, some people tuning in will want to know how to. They want an introduction to acceptance and commitment therapy and training.
Yep.
And I think that comes down to, where do I start?
Fair enough.
Right. I mean, most people get a hold, they hear about ACT, they get a book.
Yeah.
They read the book some, or maybe they get one of our trainings. If they got one of our trainings, they know where to start. But other than that, they don't know where to start.
They don't have a clue.
And so I guess introduction lends itself to where do you start?
Yep.
Now we can tell you where we start. Let's start there. We start with a question.
Yes.
Who's important to you? I mean, literally.
Maybe we should put that up. What do you think?
Right. I'm going to. How do I not share it? Oh, there it is.
Got it.
Phil will be much larger now, and he can hold up. And because we're ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy and training users, Matrix users, we do that. And we just say, we work from this point of view, and we have found it best if we start with this question: who's important to you? Bam, boom. That's how we start. So if you wanted to know, well, that Kevin and Phil, they're ACT experts. I wonder how they start. You don't have to worry.
You need no longer wonder.
No wonder whatsoever. They start.
Yeah, demystify that process for you right now.
And then it's like, well, why would they start there?
And
it's like, And then here's the questions. Well, oh, will you start with that in when you do business meetings with this? Yes.
Yes.
But you don't do that otherwise. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Wherever we go, that's what we start with.
Yep.
Why? Because it's our way of beginning the ACT process.
Yeah.
So somewhere in your readings of ACT, you will find that the outcome of ACT is a process. Those are words written at least by Steve Hayes, if not by many others. Steve Hayes is the guy that came up with that.
I've seen it.
Yep. And so the outcome is a process, meaning the outcome isn't to get rid of something. The outcome isn't to get something.
Or reduce something.
Or reduce or increase or anything, something. Yep. That's really the outcome is a process, okay? And so meaning that you're now in a process. So you could say, and this is what Phil and I do, when we get in the weeds in our own life, which we do.
Quite often.
Right, we will pause and we will think, oh, gee, who's important to me? Literally, we do it ourselves.
Right there.
And that puts us back into the ACT process. So we do it, and we invite other people to do that as well.
We do.
It's very grounding, and it gets you back in the process. So that's the beginning. That's how we start. Always, all sessions, everything starts with who's important to you. We started there. So that it begins the ACT process. There's a second reason why that's unrelated to ACT, but it's related to something else that we know. And what we also know is that we humans are skittish. That is, we're fearful, we're anxious, we just are. We're always on guard.
Yep.
And
we're wired for danger.
We're wired. And so when you meet with somebody, and it doesn't matter where. I had this happen the other day. I was in a hardware store, and I didn't know the woman waiting on me. And when she first started, I could tell she was hesitant. I don't know why. Maybe it was too early in the morning. I don't know. But after a while, we were going through some stuff, looking up some stuff, and I could see that she began to relax. Well, she had gone from the on guard, I don't know this guy,
yeah,
to, as we were conversing, it was like, well, he's safe.
Yep.
He's safe. It's okay.
I can hang with him.
Right. I can hang with him. He's not a danger. That process goes on over and over and over in everybody's lives.
All the time.
And so we have found that when we're with one person or two people or many people, that engaging somebody in a conversation about who's important to them, not necessarily that store clerk, but in other situations, it settles people right down. They enjoy talking about who's important to them. It's sort of like asking about the grandkids or your kids.
Yeah.
It has that nice conversation.
That's stuff that you used to do around the water cooler back in the day when we did it.
Exactly, right. Back when we hung around water coolers, right? Pre-COVID.
Right.
And so it also serves that purpose. But the biggie for ACT purpose is that that's where we start in the process. Because we've just found it's a really good place to start. And well, you really need to start somewhere.
And this way we always know where we're going to start.
Yeah. It would say, well, what do you do if you get invited to X place?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask them who's important.
Easy. Put this diagram up and ask who's important.
It's got to look just like that. I'm going to ask them who's important. And it's like, Why? Because that makes me comfortable. I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going, gee, I wonder what I'm going to do with this
Yeah.
crowd.
How do I start this? Where do I begin?
How do I start it with this individual? How do I
Yeah.
start with this couple? How do I start with this group? We got all those bases covered.
Yeah.
We're going to start the same
Yeah.
way. And so it makes us relaxed. And when we feel relaxed, the people,
Automatically, they're going to pick up on it.
they feel relaxed. And also they go, oh, well, this person knows what they're doing. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. They've got a direction.
they got a direction. They're going someplace.
I'm in good hands here. I'm in good hands.
So all of that comes on board with that starting. But from an ACT point of view, there's three big picture things going on with ACT. Okay, there's the get moving. You will recognize that as the values talk, the values and committed action talk of ACT. And you can sum that under get moving. And, there. The other overall process that's going on a lot, it's actually over on the left side of the matrix, is letting go of your struggle with internal events. So, and you all know, you wake up and you're anxious, or you're telling yourself you're no good, and you say, yes, I am good. And your inner self says, no, you're not. And now you're in a struggle, right? Well, you're going to let go of that struggle. And the trick, and it's tricky because you let go of it. You don't reframe it. You don't think different thoughts. You don't thoughts stop. You just let go of it. And that let go process, well, it's tricky. But that's part of ACT. And the other you'll see a lot is show up to the present moment. So people will say, ACT is mindful, ACT is meditative, ACT is all of those things. What that means is showing up to the present moment. Why? Well, we humans tend to worry about what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future, and we lose our focus on now. So there you go. That's the three overarching processes. So you could start with the let go process if you wanted to. You could start with the show up process if you wanted to, or you could start with the get moving process if you wanted to. Bill and I have chosen to start with the get moving.
We start over here.
You can choose where you want to, but we're going to teach you to start with our way, because it's our dojo, right?
Ask me, here's where I'm going.
This is what we do. So if you went to another ACT dojo, dojo is a term for a
place where you train,
place where you train, martial studio, and you might learn a different way. So that's fine. We don't argue with that. Our way, though, is get moving, which is, and you say, well, who's important to you have to do with getting moving? Because a good portion of your life is spent moving, approaching,
hanging out with
who's important to you. Moving. You go play mini golf with them. You go play frisbee golf with them.
Yeah.
You
go watch Netflix with them.
You go to dinner with them. You get the idea. This go and do stuff with them. Go talk to them, hold hands with them, all that stuff. That's moving. That's getting moving. That's why. And other than that, you start with, hey, let's talk about values. And that might work for you, and that might not work for you. So I'll just be honest with you. Values is a heady term, and there are people who don't particularly enjoy talking about values. And quite a few will, but some won't. So we don't start with that. We never even mention it.
No, it's not necessary.
So anyway, so that's it. So embracing change. So So how do we connect that up? How do we get started with embracing change? Well, one, we already said, talking about who's important puts people at ease. If you're at ease, you're much more likely to embrace change. That's sort of the low-hanging fruit for it. Other than that, the whole idea of this ACT process is that you get more psychologically flexible. This is easy, folks. When you let go of your struggle with your internal events, let go, you become more flexible. If you're holding tight to the rope,
Yeah. We're squeezing the pen.
not flexible, not
Yeah.
flexible. If you let go,
Let go.
flexibility shows up. And with that flexibility, somewhere the thought will show up, gee, I could do something different. And that's
Try X.
and that's embracing change.
Yeah.
Notice the way I just described that, that comes from intrinsic motivation. Meaning, I'm got something I want to do, and I'll consider doing a different behavior. I'm considering it. I'm coming up with a new behavior.
Coming from me.
And so that's very, very, very important in ACT. Because it's awful easy in this world of teaching and or coaching or training other people. It's real easy to slip into the you ought to do your homework things. And once you slip into that you ought to do your homework stance, you just want one up and you just took away the person's intrinsic motivation.
It gets buried.
And you go, oh, wow, I hadn't thought of it that way. Well, that's what we're here for.
Yep. It's about embracing change, remember?
So embracing change. Think of your own lives, folks. How much do you embrace change when it's inflicted upon you?
Yeah, right. When you're being told you have to change, you need to change.
What is that? You need to change the error of your ways.
Yeah.
With the finger point. And
Let the finger wag, which is also
now the finger wag really adds to that.
a little flare, a little flourish.
There's all kinds of stuff that goes wrong with that. But the biggie is that you rob the person's intrinsic motivation. You become extrinsic motivation. So to give you an example, and this, I did this myself. So I don't accuse people of doing things unless I did them already. Which is, here's a value sheet, 10 values, choose a value, check, got it. Now let's establish some goals, behaviors, committed actions that you can do to move toward that value. Check, got it. Okay, I'm sort of kind of okay until the very last thing comes, which is, well, we'll talk next week and see whether you did that committed action.
Yeah, right. Uh-oh.
Boom.
Uh-oh.
Extrinsic motivation out. They don't. It's you. You're telling them what to do.
Yeah, no agenda for me.
It backfires on you. And how do I know it backfires? It backfired on. That's why. And most of us want to start there. It sounds so easy. You know, you got values, committed action, you plan them out.
You got a sheet? What could go wrong?
And then you see if you do it or not. At one point, we stopped. We would say something like that. And we'd say, you can notice yourself doing it, or notice yourself not doing it, and
Right.
either way works just
Yeah,
fine.
we did that. We try to keep it loose.
That pulls it.
Yeah.
Until then, we just don't even mention
And then,
it. We don't.
yeah, we
We
got to like, you know what? I think we can get rid of these sheets. I think really, like,
we don't do committed action.
yeah.
We don't even talk about them. Why? Because we're waiting for somebody to say out loud something like this. Oh, gee, I could try doing this.
Yep.
And that's it. We don't try and jump on it and say, yeah, you ought to do that. Well, because when you do that, you just took their
Yeah,
motivation and you made it extra.
you're stealing it from them.
Right. Well, it's really huge, folks. It's really huge that there are places in our lives when we are extrinsically motivated, big time. Okay. In the world of acceptance and commitment, training and therapy, no.
No,
No.
not
And that's
not in this space.
and that's one of the problems with value sheets and committed action sheets, because that homework stuff and you ought to do your homework is just
Somebody else's idea.
it's just always hanging right there. It's hard not to fall into the trap.
Yeah.
And so we don't. So we don't do that. So there you go. So embracing change means that the person embraces the change. And it sounds like, oh, gee, I could try.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank. That's what you're waiting to hear. So you set the table and you wait to hear the other person say that kind of. Set the table. Phil showed he had our table. We set the table by just doing the activity. That's how we set the table. We put that all together. So that's introductory act. That's the biggie. That's a pretty good introduction for you. So start the conversation about who's important, and you know that you're on the get moving process, and you don't have to worry about explicitly talking about values and committed action.
Right.
And that'll drive you nuts.
Oh,
You don't. And we would encourage you not to.
yeah.
We really would, because if you do, you're going to be getting dangerously close to extrinsic motivation.
Yep.
And then
Which
then you'll be doing CBT.
Yeah. And then you're just doing more of the same.
Yeah, that's same old
It's
stuff.
not embracing change. That's more of the same.
Very much so. Right. So that's the beginning. That's where you get into this stuff. So we covered get moving, let go, and show up.
You did show up.
We indeed did. A lot of people start with show up, and it sounds like this. Let's do a mindfulness exercise.
Get ready. Get settled in your chair.
I like it. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor.
Yeah, make sure your feet are right. Make sure your feet are on the floor.
I don't know who came up with that, but I've heard it a lot. No, we don't start with that.
No.
Nor do we do mindfulness techniques either. Because best we can tell, they don't transfer into real life.
Yeah.
And once again, you're awful close to saying, even if you don't say it out loud, you're awful close to saying, you ought to be doing mindfulness.
Yep.
You ought to be practicing mindfulness. And people don't, by the way. You can order them to do it, and they won't do it, and then you can not order them to do it, and they won't do it. So it's you're not barking up a very good tree when you're barking up to mindfulness. Phil and I are on the streets, guys. We don't do your well-heeled country club mindfulness.
Sit on the cushion, light some incense.
Yeah, we don't do those. We hang around with people out on the streets and stuff.
Yeah, they're not interested in that sort of thing.
And the people who are absolutely not interested.
No, they're not.
And told us so.
Yeah.
We don't mess with that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not necessary. The advantage of playing with us is that we know what's necessary, what works, and what doesn't work. Sitting around doing mindfulness. So you'll go to that conference and you'll go to a session, and oftentimes the presenter will start with hell. When we went to it, everybody started with.
I was going to say, every single presentation, we're going to start with a mindfulness exercise.
Right, but not ours. And those folks, by the way, you could walk up to them and ask, hey, why do you start with mindfulness? And I doubt they would give you the correct act and answer to that question. It would be under the, I don't know, it would be a one of those loop things where it's like, well, just mindfulness is good for you just because it's good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, the research says it's good to do
more reasoning kind of thing.
Right.
Mindfulness, showing up to the present moment is the present. You learn in the present moment. That's why you show up.
And you can do that anytime, any place.
Right. If you don't know how to ride a bicycle, imagining riding a bicycle will help you.
Nope. Talking about bike riding isn't going to cut it either.
You got to get up on the bike and ride. And as you ride, you're going to be paying attention to the current moment, to the present moment, and you will learn in the present moment. ACT is a big learning theory, and learning occurs in the present moment. So you're wanting to be mindful, so you're learning in the present moment. There's better ways to accomplish that than mindfulness.
Yes.
And even in Steve Hayes' first book, not first book, but first self-help book.
Get out of your mind.
Get out of your mind and into your life. On the mindfulness section, it says basically ixnay on the sitting mindfulness. You want walking around. So if you were doing a Thich Nhat Hanh walking meditation, that would be a closer fit.
Yeah, that's getting there.
That's getting. It's not there, but it's getting there.
Yeah, you're at least in the right ballpark.
Right. So what you say? Well, what do they do? Noticing. Everybody in ACT says noticing. You do something and you notice. You do something and you notice. So what are you doing? You're noticing the consequences of the action. You're noticing how you feel, how you think, how the other person's acting. You're noticing everything that you can possibly notice regarding you did a behavior and there's stuff happening. You're noticing that stuff happening inside yourself and with other people after you've done the behavior. And in doing that noticing, you're going to learn. So
automatically.
You're just going to learn.
Learning happens.
Same way you learn how to talk, same way you learn how to walk, same way you learn how to ride a bicycle, and anything else like that. That's what you're doing. So that's what showing up to the present moment is for. So you'll learn in the present moment. You need to be doing something.
Yep.
So that's that. And then let go. We'll get to that later. Oh, we're going to show you how to let go on Wednesday.
Yes, we are.
We're gonna show that process. So letting go, of course, without talking about letting go.
Yeah.
Because those are terms, even show up, let go, get moving are high level, sort of intermediate terms that have nothing to do with people living psychologically flexible living.
Right.
So the target of ACT is psychological flexibility, i.e., that you're going to be doing psychologically flexible living. You need never say values or committed action or let go or show up.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Or present moment, none of that stuff.
I mean, none of those, none of that word.
Not required.
And if you think, what do they mean? Well, just think of riding a bicycle. You don't need to know the name of any part of the bicycle.
Nope.
You don't need to know balancing. You don't
Nope.
need to know anything. You just need to get up on the bicycle and ride the bicycle.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. None of the terminology of bicycle is worth anything to you, unless you need to go buy a spare part or something.
Yeah.
But
And it will be helpful to know.
right. But for learning to ride, no. Well, that's what we're talking about with that. You don't need to know any of the terminology. You just need to do it. So we do that, and anybody will know. That watches us, we do it with the Matrix. Then that's what we do. We just get people spinning around. And very quickly, as we sign off, we'll say, yes, we start with who's important. And we ask, what a lot of people have yucky stuff like fear show up inside of them. What kind of yucky stuff do you have? They answer. What's your favorite way to get relief from that yucky stuff? That's in the upper left. What's your favorite way to get satisfaction or contentment or whatever with those who are important to you? That stuff goes in the upper right. And then you can notice all of that stuff throughout the week. You go, yeah, I can notice all that stuff. Maybe not. And now you're in. Now you're in. All those processes are now set off.
Yep.
You're rolling through the process. And we have many people that will say, just do the Matrix.
Yep. Just do it.
And it sounds just like what I just did. You draw the two lines, who's important, yucky stuff, relief moves, satisfaction moves, noticing. That'll work just fine.
Yep.
It really will. It'll work really well. The simplicity is devilishly hard to keep a hold of, but it is that simple.
Yeah. And we'll get into that later on in the week about why it's so devilishly hard to keep it simple.
So cool. So if you want to, I mean, you can practice.
Yeah.
Who's important to you? Ask yourself, who's important to me? And write down who's important to you. That's how we do it. And when you ask other people, who's important to you? They'll tell you.
They always do.
They always do. They just do. And we go from there. So anything else you'd like to say, Phil?
No, I think we have just, the answer, if there is any answer to this embracing change, we have just showed you. This is I would call this the embracing change process.
Oh, there you go. All right. And it becomes a way of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, so none of the words are necessary.
No.
It's just the way of life, the way of being. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. And helping people get into that space.
Ooh, I like that. Helping people get into that space. Yeah. And you're not going to help them get into that space by ordering them into that space.
Nope.
Just remember, folks, to really get it in your head,
Yeah.
the difference between intrinsic motivation and extrinsic. You're setting up things so that people have
So they'll come to it. They'll come to it.
embracing change through their own intrinsic motivation.
Right.
So, there we go. I think that's good.
I think we've done it.
We've done it. Order the courses.
Yeah,
Have a good
please.
time. Well,
Check
we're
'em
back Wednesday. We're going to do storyboarding on Wednesday.
Yes.
Phil has decided we're going to show you how to storyboard.
Yes. Storyboarding your life.
Storyboarding your life. Yeah, that'll be fun. We'll
Yeah.
have fun. Is that what we're going to call it? Storyboarding your life?
Well, what do you think? I kind of like the ring of that.
That's a pretty good ring. We'll try that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
See
right.
you on Wednesday.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Bye.